King Charles and Queen Camilla are on their way to Australia for the biggest overseas trip since the King began cancer treatment in February. It is a visit which has reopened questions about the future of the monarchy in Australia and the debate about whether the country should become a republic. From Sydney, here's our correspondent, Katie Watson.
For Australia's young monarchists, there's a lot to celebrate. The fact King Charles is travelling 10,000 miles and across 10 different time zones, all the while having cancer treatment, is, say these students, testament to his fondness for this country.
I'm really excited. I think he's such a big part of our history and our tradition. It's really wonderful that we get to celebrate it.
People aren't going to line the streets waving Union Jacks. They're going to be waving the Australian flag because the King is just as much the King of Australia as he is the King of England.
At London Airport, the heir to the throne prepared to say goodbye to Britain for a few months.
The King first came here aged 17, spending 2 terms at a rural boarding school and calling it by far the best experience of his education. He's since returned 15 times, most recently with the now Queen, for the 2018 Commonwealth Games.
Monarchy, the Farewell Oz Tour!
But Republicans here say the country needs to move on. They've released this tongue-in-cheek video encouraging Australians to think about a future without the royals.
This weekend, the King and Queen will land here in Sydney and be shown around by one of the country's most prominent Republicans. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has long made it clear that Australia needs to rid itself of the monarchy, but plans to hold a vote on the issue have been shelved. There just isn't the appetite for what many see as a distraction from bigger issues like the cost of living crisis.
And the government was defeated in a separate referendum last October on giving greater political rights to Indigenous people. It was a bruising campaign that divided Australia. For many First Nations communities, a vote on the monarchy just isn't a priority.
We're not white Australia anymore, we're a brown Australia. It'd be very interesting to see, a brown head of state or a black head of state. But, before we do that, we need to include our First Nations and acknowledge and recognise that.
There are plenty of nods to the royals in Sydney, but these pub goers give very little thought to the King.
I'd feel that my friends have the same opinion as me, but I'd feel older generations, like my parents and my grandparents, would have much more of a stronger connection to the monarchy and the King.
Australia's flag, with the Union Jack in the corner, is the most ubiquitous reminder of the country's ties with Great Britain. In most places, though, the Aboriginal flag now flies alongside it. Australia is a very different country to the one King Charles first visited nearly 60 years ago. Katie Watson, BBC News in Sydney.